So when you're available to volunteer, such as let's say you're available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, you can click save and it'll show up that basically you're available for those times to volunteer. This is not required, but it is something you can do. There's also a time clock QR code, which we are not actively using the time clock right now. There's an option for files, which actually is one of the limitations of the system where we don't have a lot of storage, but here for forms, there is and then there is an option to merge your profile. That's it, but for some reason you did have multiple Master Gardener volunteers. But for you, of course, right here for the site map, I mean, this is a
I'm going to see who's here. And I'm also going to fix my background. You guys don't need to see my messy office. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, you know, sir, since there's not a lot of you here, and I really actually, I realized I probably should have made this a meeting. I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up. So I'm going to promote you all to panelist so that I can see you. Panelist. All right, I'm going through all of you here. Okay, I think I got everybody. So okay, so what we're going to start with off with is I'm just going to share screen because I think that's going to be the better way to do this so that we can get started. Why isn't that showing up? Screen two. Share. Okay, so I'm going to switch to volunteer view. Okay, first things first, can everybody here log in? And if you can't, go ahead and put that in the chat. Because if you're not able to log in, all of this is, you're gonna see it and maybe not get it. And I kind of want you guys, okay, good. I kind of want you guys to be able to follow along as we're doing this. So if you can't log in, we can go over login real quick here, but if you're having troubles, then what you're going to need to do is reach out to Peggy. What she does is basically reset your password and share your username. But let me just show you real quick. So this is a login page, and basically you're going to put your username. Now, if you were given a username, so many Master Gardeners, when we were transferred over to this system last year, you were given a default username. You can change that username. You don't have to keep it because some of them are, numbers and letters, they may not make sense to you and you may not be able to remember them. So you can change your username. Great, Kim. I love how Kim is she's on Better Impact on her laptop and she's Zooming on her cell. She is tech savvy. I've definitely done that before. Now, if you have forgotten, if you can get to this page, I would bookmark the this login page, because if you forget your username and password, you can click on this. And what happens is it takes you to another page where if you remember your username, it'll just say, it'll forget your password and it'll give you a chance to reset it. Or if you forgot your username, it'll send it to your the email address. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Okay, so here is your home page. This banner here, I don't know if any of you knew, but if you click on this IFAS extension, University of Florida, Master Gardener Volunteer banner page, it will take you to the statewide Master Gardener page. So anyway, if you happen to be on Better Impact and you want to check out something on the statewide page, that's kind of handy to just click on that. Okay, so here we are in the home page. This basically, like a lot of the membership pages now that we have or systems, there's a dashboard. This is a pretty basic dashboard. It's going to have your upcoming shifts. So I'm actually trying now to volunteer so that I can see what you guys see and kind of have that similar experience. Although I don't always get to volunteer for everything. But especially if I'm leading something, I want to make sure that I'm volunteering for it, as long as I'm not taking shifts from someone else. That's my only main thing usually when I'm volunteering, is I don't want to take that opportunity away from somebody else. But what you'll find on this homepage is it always defaults to the statewide Master Gardener program. People have asked, can we switch the order? Because the statewide's at the top and then Alachua County is below. And everyone's like, oh, I got to scroll to get down. There's no way to reconfigure. I've tried to reconfigure this page and it's set by the statewide program. Now, if you don't really want to see the statewide news, you can always click this little arrow here and it will shrink it. It will collapse it. And if I'm correct, it keeps it collapsed until you uncollapse it the next time you're in there. So you could have that, you could just have that collapsed if you don't want to see that first. I am still trying to figure out how to get our Master Gardener, the Alachua County Facebook into here. Every time I'm in here, it wants to log in under my personal Facebook. I don't want my personal Facebook linked to this page. So I need to figure out how to link it so we just see the Master Gardener Alachua County one. But if you uncollapse, you'll see that you can connect to the Florida Master Gardener, the statewide program. This is their social feed, and I believe they have Facebook. I think that's it. I don't think they have Twitter. So I think it's just Facebook. So that's that. So you can collapse that. Let's see. So this is pretty standard, for most of the activities. If there's something upcoming, we really try and put that on Better Impact. It's kind of, it's not easy to update this news page. And so what instead we're trying to do is, I don't know if you've noticed, but Jesse's been sending out weekly updates. We're going to try and get those on a regular schedule. Whenever we have a Monday holiday, it throws us off. But the idea is that every week that Master Gardeners are receiving a weekly update as to what the upcoming events are and any announcements that we might have, kind of as a substitute instead of putting it on here, because not everybody checks that. And I know everybody usually checks their email. But if there's something major like, the volunteer record form, we'll put something on there that's, really important for everybody to understand. And then usually Peggy will update the links to our Master Gardener newsletters. So we have the latest one, the December 22nd. And this one, that means it's just easier to access the newsletter from here than having to go to our county page and have to find the link for it. So you can find it directly from here. Okay, some other important things that I want to highlight that I'll also revisit in a little bit, but there's this link here for the action request form. And I am going to go into that in a little bit, but I did want to mention that there's a link here basically for any requests that you would like to make to the program. Let's say you want to schedule an event, or you need copies made, or you need certain materials. Then you're going to go to the action request form. And basically it's a link to a Google form. And that Google form then takes the request and it populates it on a spreadsheet that Peggy is checking usually every day. And that's so that we don't get inundated with email requests that then get buried, or maybe one gets sent to Jesse and one gets sent to Peggy and I don't see it, or, you know, we're trying to consolidate so that the requests are all in one place and we can all see them all together and see whether we've made them or not. So we really ask that if you have any type of request that's going to involve, especially going to involve staff, or, you know, is a list of things that we need to do, put it in that request form so that we have it documented and we basically have that list that we can get back to. So here, there's some other important links just to make it a little bit easier. Also on this homepage is the files. This is going to be really helpful if you want to, it's a little clunky in that we can't post everything in here, but we've been trying to kind of keep anything that you would need, like annual agreements, that record of volunteer service, that's on here. Some primary help desk documents that those working the help desk, or even if you're trying to help someone out, these are some really common ones. There's the help desk newcomers guide. And then those volunteers that are interested or wanting to volunteer at Wilmot Botanical Gardens, we also have files associated with that. So if there is something that you feel is missing from the file, something that you would like to access and be able to access remotely, right? The idea is that you can then access these files from anywhere. You wouldn't need to come into the office, and you feel that it's something that could benefit most of the master gardeners, then we can put it on here. So just let me know. Another form that we have, again, so we have that action request form link here. We also have it here in files. So you should be able to always find that action request form. If you're going to make a purchase, you could, if you know, I get it's a little confusing with all the forms. The purchaser request form is a little bit more detailed in that it's specifically designed for if you want to make a purchase, then you're putting the vendor name and you're putting the items. If you don't have that and you just know that you want to purchase something, do the action request form and do it to myself and myself and Jesse. Jesse and I are the ones that have the P cards. We're the ones that can buy things. But this purchaser request form has more detail. So what I would do is do the action request, and then once you have all the details, do the purchaser request form and email it. If you can, email it to me. Some people drop it off, and when there's only one physical copy of something, that's always, I feel like, really dangerous. And in my office, I really prefer if you email it, because then I can access it wherever I'm at, even if I'm not in the office. Okay, I'm gonna stop share there because I want to see, are there any questions with the home page? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm gonna keep moving on then. All right, back to the website. Okay, so we're at home. Now, what do we want to do?
Sorry,
Okay.
Cynthia. It took me a second to figure out how to either write a question or unmute. It's been a while I've been on Zoom. As far as all those list of materials on the right column, it doesn't it doesn't matter if you're in those committees, you can still like read up on what they're doing and stuff like that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
This is all stuff for all the master gardeners.
Right.
And so some of these like meeting minutes, the reason why I put them up there, we're actually delinquent on updating those. But I want to be transparent. There's no reason why we should be hiding anything from anybody, right?
Right.
And if anything, if it gets you more engaged to know that there's these things going on, hey, how can I participate in that? You know,
Right.
that's what we want. So the
Okay.
idea is that, you know, we're transparent and we're letting people know what activities, things are going on in the committees. Great
Okay,
question.
thanks.
Okay, so opportunities. This is where you're gonna go. Hold on, let me just check I want to make sure I'm on my agenda here. Okay, sign in. All right, one thing before we actually move to opportunities, what I want to do is actually go to my profile, because for everybody that's new, I want everybody to go into their contact information. Okay, if you go to my profile and you go to that very first one, contact, make sure that all your contact information is correct. Your email, your phone number, okay? You don't have to complete every single box, but I'd say the critical ones. This is also too where if you wanted to change your username here at the top, if you have a funky like MGV 023 or something, some number that doesn't make any sense to you, you can put in your username, whatever username you want. That's where you can change that. You're going to need your name, your last name, your address, your email address. Remember, this is so that we can communicate with you. Okay. This isn't shared. We will be we'll be updating our directory, but I'll follow up with that later in terms of what we actually share on that, what's available to everybody. This is mostly so that the administrators, that we can reach out to you if we need to. So phone numbers, put the phone numbers that you want to put down and how you want to be contacted. So you know, if you have multiple phones and you're okay with us reaching out to those different phone numbers, you can put them, okay? Here, what's nice is you have a phone preference, so you can distinguish, like if you prefer your cell phone over your home phone, then go ahead and pick the preference as the cell phone. And then if it's anytime, you could pick anytime. Okay, so that phone preference is really helpful, because when I look up your phone number, because I don't have your phone numbers memorized, when I look you up in Better Impact, I get that information. And so it tells me which phone number you prefer and where and when you prefer to be called. If you want to receive text messaging, now I haven't really utilized the text messaging option, mostly because I hate receiving text messages from like my dentist and my, you know, like it just gets a little overwhelming for me. But I know that there's some people that might like that. And so I'm thinking about using it. But I want to test it out first. So if you are interested in text messaging and that's a better way for you to receive alerts about your volunteering, then of course you can go ahead and click that. You would need to provide a cell phone number for that. As in terms of like somebody's asked about rates, I don't know about the rates. I'd have to follow up on the texting if there's any charge to you. And then these, you're welcome to put those so that if, you know, but that's up to you. And then you would hit save. Another important thing on the contact information are these privacy settings. Now, I honor everybody's privacy, and this is an option, but I strongly recommend that you click, I want other volunteers to be able to see my name in the list of scheduled volunteers. And the reason is that otherwise, when you go in, when we get to looking at signing up, you can see who else is signed up, but if they have not clicked this box, then it will just say anonymous. Okay, and especially for committee chairs who are trying to follow up to see how many volunteers they have or who's signed up for an event, the committee chairs don't have administrative access, so they can't see that anonymous, and then they have to email us to say who's the anonymous person. We as administrators can determine who the anonymous person is, but it's just that extra step. Now you can choose if you want your last name included or your photo. So if you're okay, it'll just do your first name as default. And just because it's so many times we get requests, it's an anonymous, I don't know who it is. Unless, you're really, remember, this is only for Master Gardener volunteers. Only Master Gardener volunteers are going to see this. And because we're an organization, it really helps if we can know who's doing what. So I strongly encourage you, I can't force you to click that box, but it does help us function a little better as an organization if we know who's volunteering where. If you want to include your last name, you can click that box. If you want your photo included, you can also click that box. Now, why would you want your photo included? Well, especially for those new interns, it's nice to be able to associate a name with a face, especially maybe if you're going to an event for the first time and you have to meet up with a Master Gardener that maybe you've never met before. Having them being able to see your picture just lets them help you recognize better. Again, this is optional, but I encourage you to think about, the purpose of what we do in this volunteer organization, and that remember that only this information stays with this group. So I think by default you should be subscribed to emails, but if you're not, definitely, I do the email reminders because we haven't really been using text. So I would click here. This will send you an email when your shift is coming up. So unless you're actively checking Better Impact all the time, I encourage you to have that, because otherwise, you may forget. And then I think there's 2 themes. I don't know what the Alachua County theme is. I think I started to create one. So I would just default to the IFAS statewide Master Gardener one, because I think I delved into the theme when I first started and then haven't really done anything with it. So for right now, let's just stick to that one. Okay, so the main takeaways from that profile are that privacy setting. The other important part in this My Profile section is the additional info. There are 2 requirements, the agreements and acknowledgements. You need to have that checked. And then I think, I just noticed this today, I actually had to put in an emergency contact name and phone number to be able to save any changes. Whenever I hit save, it was just like, I think you have to hit this criminal history and these agreements. And for some odd reason, it asked for an emergency contact. So I also ask you to fill out this demographic info. The demographic info is optional, but I have to report on that. So if you're able to complete this, that helps me report for our Master Gardener volunteers. And then any additional information that you'd like to share with us, and then you hit save. But if there's something on here that's required, it won't let you save it until you've done that. And just a heads up that emergency contact is new. Okay. Now, I don't know if you noticed, whenever you save, you'll get this little green box in the corner that says updated successfully. That's for really anything you do in Better Impact. It usually gives you a little green box saying you did it, whatever it was. If you get a little red box, it'll say error, and then it won't let you proceed. Okay, the next one is qualifications. So all of you hopefully should have done this for 2023. You have to complete the volunteer annual agreement. And I know for most of the interns, we did that in class. We handed that out. We've sent out reminders. The reason is that to be able to sign up for most of the activities, there's a qualification requirement. And so if you don't have this volunteer annual agreement completed, what happens is you won't be able to see certain events, or you might not be able to sign up for them. So having that completed, it should be on your profile. It should say completed and then the date of 2023. If you see completed, but it says 2022, that means you still haven't submitted 2023, and we need to get that updated for you as soon as possible so that you can start seeing events on your calendar. I'm going to skip through most of these. Change password here. This could be important if you want to update your password. This is where you would update it. Everything else we don't really use. Right now, we're not using the training or the badges. The organizations, this is the organization. There are a few cases throughout the state where there's some master gardeners that they have maybe started volunteering in one county, and then maybe they're going over to another county mid-year. And so they're technically part of two organizations at the same time. And so that would show up here. I ask that if you are going to resign, that you please contact me first. If you hit this button, I mean, yes, we will know, but I would prefer if you contacted us first before doing that. So please don't use this button. We can certainly make you inactive or remove you from the system on our end. And we would like to have that conversation with you, of course, as to why you're leaving. So everything else we don't really use. You can put in interest here. One of the confusing parts was this interest committees, and they're not. They're different. So because you select interest here does not mean that you're signing up, that you've signed up for that committee. And there was some confusion with that, so I do want to clarify. That's just telling us what you're interested in. Of course, these interests kind of reflect the committees that we have, but not all of them. So you can select it, but really when we go to committees, I'll talk about that. Availability, again, you can use this. Although when we set up activities, I haven't really been filtering or putting in requirements for days. Basically, if you put this in, that can kind of influence, the activities that you see. And so we haven't really used this part of it, because right now I don't really tailor my activities according to this schedule. We don't use the time clock QR code. The other important one here is if you want to do files, this is another way to view the files. So remember, you could view the files on your homepage. You can also view them. If you're in this, you can also go to your My Profile and just click on Files. So there's multiple ways that you can kind of access that Files page. And then Merge Profile, that's only if you were serving in one program and then maybe move to another one mid-year, and then we need to merge the different accounts. So that is my profile. Next, we're going to go to any questions on the profile, those qualifications, anything on that? Okay, if something comes up, just give me a holler. And let's see if I noticed there's some more people that came in. So I'm promoting everybody to panelists because I want you guys to be able to see me, and I want to be able to see you. I think I got everybody. Okay. All right, so opportunities. So you have two choices in the opportunities. You can either look at the opportunity calendar or you can look at the opportunity list. If you look at the calendar, it looks like a calendar and things are highlighted in different colors. We have some kind of control over the colors, but it's hard to get these colors changed. We don't assign the colors. They just kind of default to that. So we've tried to make adjustments to the color because, some people with different vision issues might not be able to see things as well, and I completely understand that. It's just been because some of this is not on our side, it's on the statewide level. We haven't been able to always change things. If you are on a desktop version, you can always make things bigger. If you go into your Zoom, if that helps. But the colors so far, we're not really able to choose. They just are kind of chosen for us. So here you can go, there's a little box here that says only include activities that I'm qualified for. I'm pretty sure that's the default. That will mean that if, let's say, you don't have those qualifications submitted, you wouldn't see anything. You could uncheck that box and then supposedly see everything, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to sign up for it. The filters by categories, and the category colors match the category colors on the calendar. So if you wanted to see all the community educational outreach, you could put that category and then click submit. There's not a lot on there. I'm trying to find one. So like FFL program, I know we have some things coming up. So we have a committee coming up on the 24th. You could go to February. Sorry, why did that scoot to March? Here, February, we have, oh, this is this the Great Invader Rally? Yes. All right. And then you can click on those events and get more information from them. Now here, if everybody can see at the bottom, it says who is scheduled. So you can look to see who is scheduled. And look, we've got 3 people already. That's amazing. So Gail, Linda, and we have a Linda Casey and a Linda Lewis. So this is when I was talking about that privacy setting, this is what we're talking about. If you haven't clicked the last name, then the only thing you would see is Gail. Now, if Linda Casey and Linda Lewis didn't click their last name, then it would just be 2 Lindas. So you see how that might be confusing, especially for those that might have the same first name. So that's why the last name is helpful. And then the picture, I think, is nice, right? Because then you know who you might be volunteering with, and you can match a face to a name. So I think that's really helpful. Remember, this is all internal. You can also go, so this gives you the description that we set up, but you could also go to the activity page from here. And this is going to have, this is going to show you the shift. Again, here is the shift. You can, again, click on this person, see who's signed up. And then if you wanted to sign up, you just click sign up. And you get that little green square that says, thank you for signing up. You have been automatically assigned. Okay. And then now you're signed up for that. It's pretty easy. Okay, so now let's see. I'm going to go back to the calendar. Now, if for some reason you don't see something on here, it's been an issue. Sometimes people are like, I don't see it on there. I can't find it. Try the opportunity list, which there's a link from the opportunity calendar, or you can go back up here and go to list. The other reason why would be that you didn't have the qualifications, or for some of the committees, only people that are on that committee are able to see that on the calendar. Or they're only able to sign up for it if they're on that committee, the way that we're starting to set up the activities. So sometimes I tend to go into the opportunity list just because then I can scroll down and kind of see everything. This is also, again, going to break it down by groups. There's one thing that I want to point out in this opportunity list. So most of the activities, when we go to login hours, they're going to be associated with that activity. You go to that activity, you log in hours under that activity. However, whenever you're doing a general education, not general education, sorry, a continuing education activity, you may see the continuing education activity on the, let's say like a field trip is going to be on the calendar, but you're not going to be able to log hours under that field trip. Where are you going to log hours for that field trip if it was a continuing ed opportunity? Anybody know? Let's see. Oh, let me
Under
go.
general CEUs.
Yes, Kim, my gold star student here. Sorry, I lost my little chat box there for a second. Oh wait, sorry, and there were other chats here now. I'm so sorry. My chat box got hidden by my screen. I will get to those. Kathleen, I see that you've been posting some questions. So yes, so if you're doing an activity which is counting as CEUs or continuing ed, then you're actually not going to log those continuing ed hours under that activity. You're going to log them under continuing education. Okay. And that's because if we try and put every continuing education activity opportunity up on here, it's too much. And then what happens when we try and separate out, we can't separate out by continuing education, and we need to be able to do that for reporting purposes. So that's how we're going to try it this from here on out.
Cynthia,
right.
may I ask a question?
Sure.
So as an individual, Master Gardener, how am I able, is there somewhere in here where I can have my CEUs logged, totaled somehow? So I know how many hours I've got as a volunteer, but I also then will know how many hours I've had in CEUs.
You should be able to go to reports.
Okay.
And then, so let's say you wanted to know to year right now. So I'm kind of skipping ahead, but to answer your question, you guys should have a tab that says reports.
Yep.
And you can view the report. Now you can detailed hours. You can do it by activity name. I have to see, no, sorry, I got to see how you guys see it. Because I don't have a lot of activities, it's not doing it. But what I would do is try this report feature and let me know how your CEUs come out on that one. You
Okay.
should have one if you've logged I just haven't logged hours, right? Because I'm not logging hours. So that's actually a good question. But you should be able to, this one I think is going to give you your total hours. And then this one should break it down by activities.
If I can interrupt, I actually have a couple of educations logged and I don't see them broken out in any report.
In that report, it's not breaking it out? Okay.
It's not breaking them out as EDU that I see yet. I'm poking around.
So and you log them under general CEUs?
Yeah, I did. And then yeah, I did. Under
Okay.
that, drop down and filled out the.
All right. I have my little handy notepad here. I'm going to make a note about that to follow up on that.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Yes, last year you could, and it did. It did separate them, and you all, I think, have changed this year the reporting mechanism for CEUs.
But it would still be, it should still fall under what I need to test out is why wouldn't you see it under the category?
I just found it.
Okay. Because I was like, it should show up because when you log and out hours, right?
Yeah.
It's under reports if you got to hit a button to see it.
Yeah, so it should be under continuing education unit, general CEUs. Your report should kind of follow the category and activity names that we have. But I'm going to follow up on that because I always use my admin side. So I have to remember to run a report in volunteer view and put in some hours there so I can see what you guys see.
That's the thing is when you're in reports, I didn't realize you actually have to hit view report in that
Yes.
hour feedback section to see it. You won't see it without hitting that.
Right, so there's a view. I like the view. I like to be able to view my report first, and then if I like it and I need to keep it and I need to make any adjustments to it, which you guys probably wouldn't do, but let's say you wanted to, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe the report's not quite the way you wanted it, you could export it. You can export it to Excel and then you can change it there. Okay. All right. So the main thing is that, does everybody feel comfortable being able to sign up? Does anybody have any questions on signing up? So the help desk is on here. That's what these AM, PM shifts are. Now remember, if a shift is full, so you notice that there's not a help desk available on every day right now. That means that shift is full. Once it's full, it disappears from the calendar. You should be able to still see an opportunity that is full. You can still see it on the listed version.
Cynthia,
Yes.
who posts the activities on that calendar?
It's the three of us. It depends who has the time and when the request came.
Okay, so
And
it's
so-
not the responsibility of the committee chair to do that.
No, what you would need to do is just fill out an action request
Gotcha.
for that
Okay,
activity that you want to do. Yes.
gotcha.
You
Okay,
as a volunteer wouldn't be able to do it. So you fill out the action request. We need to know the date, the time. If there's going to be multiple shifts, then we need to know how many volunteers you want per shift. As much information as you can so that when we're entering it, we don't have to, go back and forth. But usually it's going to be Jesse or Peggy. How
Okay.
they kind of have it divided right now is that Jesse's really focused on school gardens and kind of like the community gardens. And then Peggy's kind of been doing everything else. And then I kind of fill in wherever I need to
Okay.
in terms of the activities. So that's a good question. So yeah, if you need to add an activity, just fill out one of that action request and then we'll get it on here. And if, like for example, Kim came and met with me about Wilmot Gardens. If you want your committee and the work that you're doing, if it's not in the right category, or feel like it needs to be shifted somehow, or how the information is recorded, please come and make a meeting with me and we can figure it out. And we'll have it set up so that it's easier for you also to use. David, you have your hand up.
I was wondering, is there anywhere in here, like in your profile, that you can see what committees you're on?
Right now, well, you could, if you went to your contact, in your 2, you'll see all the committees you're signed up for. That's kind of a cheat way to do it, because basically the committees are connected to your email field. Kathleen has her hand raised, and I know you have questions, Kathleen. So go ahead. Are you able to talk?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Kathleen. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm still a little bit confused on how you actually sign up for an activity for your volunteer hours. You kind of
Sure.
went from the activities directly into the CEs and reporting on the CEs. And so I'm a little bit confused on it. Can you go back a little bit and go over again how you sign up for an activity if you want to do volunteer hours for an activity?
Sure. Well, so there's 2 different things there. So first you want to sign up. So let's say, let me think, so there's something that I can sign up that I won't take shifts away from. Let's say I want to sign up for this field trip to the Levita Brown Environmental Park. So Kathleen, do you see how I'm in the calendar view? And I
Yeah.
just clicked on the event. A real easy way is you just click on this sign up button. Boom, you're signed up. Okay. Or, you could, right now it says I'm assigned. you could have gone into the activity itself, and then there would have been another button. It usually says sign up with a plus symbol.
I
Signing
see.
up, I feel like, is really easy. Now,
Okay.
the logging of the hours. So now let's say you went on this field trip, right? Now, what we were talking about, a few things in the hours. Does everybody see that activity? It says show these activities, recent, active, and inactive. Always click on the active. I don't like this recent button because what happens, it only shows your recent activity and it's not going to show all the activities. So if you're logging hours, let's say 2 weeks after you've done an activity or something, you know, it may not be there. So always click active. You would only need to click inactive if, let's say, you were doing something from last year. If you wanted to update something, we've made some of the activities from, well, we've made a lot of the activities from last year inactive, right? Because we don't want them clogging up our calendar or our activities list for this year. So for this year, click on active. And then in this drop down, remember with the field trip though, are you going to log your hours under the field trip? No, right? You're going to log the hours under CEUs. So you would go down to CEUs, unless your field trip had a service activity. That's the only other thing I could think of that there might be an exception to that, is if you were actually doing, you know, somehow doing volunteer service on your field trip. Here, you pick where you want to log the hours, then you put the date of the activity, which I can't remember. It's February something. Does anybody remember the date? I don't remember the date. You would put in, let's say, 2 hours. Okay. If you want, you can put minutes. I would try to keep it to quarterly minutes. Like, we don't need to get fancy because I mean, it just tabulates it all. So you can round up to the quarter. Then here you could put Levita Brown field trip. Okay, so all your general CEUs will have this continuing education event or program feedback. I call it the feedback square, right? Where you can put in basically what you did. And this allows you, if you watched a webinar, if you know, whatever you did for your continuing education hours, you can put that in here. And then that way, when you run your report, you should see all your continuing education hours all under that one category. So you should be able to easily tabulate your continuing ed hours versus your volunteer hours, which is last year, that's what we ran into, is that it was hard to figure out what was what. And then you would just say save and log another. Okay, so now it tells you I've logged in these many CEUs on this date. We're on the honor system here, so I don't have to approve your hours. I look at them periodically. If there's something that kind of stands out to me, I'll usually write you an email and say, hey, what on this event, did you mean this? Or, you know, can you tell me more about this event that you attended? That's very rare, but occasionally, especially if it's really large, sometimes it's usually the number, like somebody has like 56 hours on something, like, oh, that might have been a typo, right? For the actions, let's say you've put in your hours and you realize you did them wrong. If you, this is a quirk of Better Impact. If you put your hours in, you have 24 hours to delete them. After 24 hours, this delete button goes away. Don't know why, that's how it is. If you need to delete or change your hours after you've logged them and you've lost that delete capacity, just email me, let me know, and I will delete them for you. I'm not sure why there's a time frame on the delete, but there is. There should not be a time delete for removing yourself from a shift. And that you can see by going to your schedule. So if you go to your schedule, it'll tell you what you're signed up for. And let's say for today, I signed myself up for this webinar. I could remove myself. If you don't see a remove button, please, for the field trip, it's because you're not supposed to, I'm not sure why that's not there. Why I can't remove myself from there. If you need to remove yourself and you don't see a remove button, please let us know, because that's usually something that had to be set up when we set up the activity. Okay, I see some hands still raised. So Mary Ann, I'm going to start with you and then go to Kathleen. You're
My
muted.
question.
You did. Okay. And then Kathleen, did you still have a question?
No, I didn't. You're going over everything I need to see now. This is what I was really wanting to
Excellent.
see the most
Yes.
of.
Right? This is the heart,
Yeah.
this is the heart of it. So David says, on Colin's last trip, I had to email to remove myself. Yes. I don't know why there's a time there. It's very strange. We've asked to have that removed, and it's a thing with the better impact management software. So you should be able to remove yourself from activities. If you can't, please let us know. I have to figure out why that's not a default. And then the same with if you've logged your hours and you have to change them, just let us know on that. So let me just double check my agenda here. Okay, so I've pretty much gone over everything that you need to do, I think, to be able to sign up and to log in, which is really the most important. One of the challenges with the Better Impact is how you access it. So I like accessing it on a desktop because the desktop version, you can see everything. When you access it on the mobile, there is a mobile app and you have to download the app from either the iTunes store or the App Store, whatever they call it. I'm not an Apple person, but whatever the Apple store is, and then they have the Android store. You can download the app. But what happens is, because it's a mobile, I noticed that, for example, the calendar is not the same. You see it as a list. You do not see it as a calendar. And there's not the whole list in front of you. So you have to kind of type in to do your, a search of what activity you're looking for, which means you kind of need to know where things are. And that, I think, can be challenging if you're not sure. If you're not sure what category that activity was under. So we're working on that to figure out how to do that. Again, if you ever have any questions or problems with logging things on, then reach out to us. Kim.
Yes, before we drift too far away from opportunities, and I've got my Wilmot Botanical Gardens hat on. Is there any way, or I guess the question is, can I put an event on Opportunities calendar without having them be opportunities to sign up for?
You can. So
Oh, good.
we just recently figured that out.
Oh, cool.
Because the monthly Master Gardener meeting, if everybody can still see, we had this conundrum where we wanted to put things on the calendar, but yes, we were having trouble doing it and limiting people from signing up under that activity. So now Peggy figured it out. She's like, it only took me 12 and a half months. But now we should be able to get everything on the calendar so people can see that the event is happening, but they will not always be able to sign up under that activity. So like our monthly Master Gardener meeting, you can't sign up under that. I'm sorry, you can sign up under that to volunteer. You cannot log hours under the Master Gardener monthly meeting. Instead, what you're going to do is there's a Master Gardener monthly meeting service hours for that business meeting portion. And then there's the CEUs you would put for that hour.
Well, and we may have to take this offline because it's strictly a Wilmot issue.
Okay.
I really don't want folks for example, we have the spring plant sale coming up. I want to put that in there so everybody's aware that there is a spring plant sale, but if they put their names there, they're not going to be signed up at Wilmot to serve as a volunteer. Is there
Right.
any way that I could put, for example, if you're like a note that would say, if you're interested in this, do not sign up in BI, rather contact Courtney Cribbs in the business office at such and such a phone number.
We could. So put that in
Okay.
the action request form.
Okay,
I
can.
believe we can do it where we don't offer signups.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, Marianne? Question? And then
No,
I'll give you Kathleen. No? Okay.
you've answered everything. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
great. I don't know, your hands stay up for a really long time. Okay, Kathleen, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do now. One more time, what's the difference between the continuing education piece of it and the field trips and the volunteer time? That's what's a little confusing to me.
Sure. So continuing ed, because remember the volunteer requirements, right? You have your service hours that you have to complete, and then your continuing ed. Now, the interns, you guys have your continuing ed hours. So this year it's, it's kind of a bonus, whatever continuing ed hours you get, they're bonuses for you. But once you get your Master Gardener certification, the following year, you're going to need 35 volunteer hours and 10 hours. Do I have that right? Yes.
Yes.
And 10 hours of continuing education. Okay. So the challenge we had this past year is all those hours were mixed together and we didn't have a clear way to separate continuing ed hours from your volunteer service. So what we've done is that whenever you do a continuing education, which is where you're learning something. So volunteer service hours is where you are actively contributing to the Master Gardener program. You're serving in some capacity, right? So you're attending a committee meeting, you're attending the business portion of the Master Gardener monthly meeting. You are doing your gardening service work at a community garden. Whatever the service is, that counts towards your volunteer service hours. And that you're either going to log under an activity, or there's also, there's an other too, if you needed a space to do those volunteer hours, but usually those are going to be associated with an activity. Then you have your your continuing education volunteer hours. So this is where you're actively learning, right? It's almost like professional development, but for Master Gardeners. So a webinar that you attended, any learning opportunity. This webinar is a continuing education credit. Okay, so this time that we're on here is a CEU, which the U stands for unit, but they're continuing education hours. So the challenge is if we put them under field trips, if we allowed you to log your hours that you were on a field trip under a field trip, it doesn't get categorized as continuing education. It gets categorized as a field trip hours. And there's no way for us to lump all the field trips under continuing ed. It needs to have that continuing ed label. So instead, what we would like is you can sign up for the field trip under field trip. But when you go to log in your hours, you won't be able to select the field trip. It'll tell you that you can't. Let's try it so we can test. So let's say the Sweetwater Wetlands Park. Oh, look, it is letting me log hours. That's not good. All right, well, I have to go back to Peggy about that because we were not supposed to do that. So we want you to log those hours under CEUs, because when they get logged under field trips, what happens is then those won't get counted. And when you do your report to see, hey, how many continuing education hours do I have? You want it to fall under that you want it to fall under that continuing ed. So I need to double check that. I thought we had that figured out. Field trip. Continuing hour. So I don't know if I convoluted that, Kathleen, but for your continuing education hours, even though they're bonus this year, if you want to practice, always put all your continuing education under continuing education units. And there's only one thing you can pick in there. So there, you just put whatever you did in that little blank box. Was there another part to your question? I think that I missed.
Well, say you have a plant sale coming up or a tabling activity, is that considered service hours?
Yes, that's
Okay,
not continuing ed.
okay. Okay, well, like I said, it was the line was getting a little blurred. Like if you're going to say a school demo garden, is that not considered a field trip?
No.
What are you doing at the school demo garden? Are you
I'm just asking.
participating, or if you are representing the Master Gardener program and you are providing a service to that school, those are volunteer hours.
Okay,
A field trip is you are visiting something and learning about something. You, as the Master Gardener, you're not serving that place that you're going to, right?
I
You're
got
going
you.
as a learning opportunity. Mhm.
Like a tree pruning class or something. That's
That's definitely also a continuing education.
okay.
Unless
Like I s-
you were volunteering and you were helping teach the class, then it's a service. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, okay. Like I said, the line was getting a little blurred. I just wanted to
Sure.
clarify it.
Mhm.
And also, I won't see reports until I have hours that have been,
Yeah, the
Done.
reports, oh, look, now my reports are reporting.
well, I don't have that tab on my screen.
Not everybody has that tab. Is Kathleen the only one that doesn't have the reports? Does everybody have reports tab?
Yes.
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 Kathleen, you should have that reports tab.
Okay, I've got home, opportunity, schedule, hours, contact, and then my profile, and that's it. I do
Are
not have
you-
reports.
Are you viewing it on what device are you viewing it on?
My computer,
Okay. I don't know why that is. Can you write me an email about that? And then maybe, do you have any hours entered
no,
for this year?
no,
Okay, that might be why, although that seems really weird because you should have the tab.
I'll send you a screenshot of what my tabs look like.
No, I believe you. I think it's, you notice that until I reported hours for January, I didn't get this little screen here.
Yeah,
I just added those hours and then now, now I got this, but I always had the tab. So, do you have any hours that you can put in?
not yet. I'm going to be on the help desk this coming Monday, so maybe
Okay. So why don't
maybe
we wait
that tab will
until,
pop.
yeah, why don't we wait until Monday and then let's log some hours and then let's see if that report tab comes up. And then if it still doesn't come up, yeah, we need to figure out what's going on your account.
Okay,
Okay, all right, great. All right, Kim, you have your hand up. And then I know it's 2:03, so if people have to leave, I completely understand. But we're kind of in a question and answer. Actually, before people leave, if anybody does have to leave, I did want to offer, there was two things I wanted to do. You see this little help thing right here next to your logout? There's a little thing with a question mark and it says help. If you open that, sorry, I can't, what happened to my?
You are on the calendar till 3.
Oh, okay, good to know. I think I did that on purpose. sometimes I don't remember when I do things like that. I just did something silly with my, hold on, I'm gonna stop share. Something happened in my web browser. All right, let me go to the site guide. So that little help button, let me try this again. Okay, so this little help button takes you to this screen, and this is the site guide for Better Impact. So if you ever have, if you want to dive deeper, or if you're having a problem, go to this page first. And then if you can't find your answer here, then you can reach out to us. I mean, you can always reach out to us, but I feel like if you really want to try and figure out yourself, this is probably going to be the best place for you to find it first. So, there's login, there's some video tips too, how to install the app. So it kind of goes through all the things I just kind of went through. It has their standard help. Okay, so I want you to realize there is a help function on this, and it does have a menu, and you can kind of look through there. The other one that I want to share with you is another.
Can I ask? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
why are there the asterisks on some of those on the help page at the end of some of those?
Yeah, no, I see that. That's a good question. Maybe those are like common. I don't know, actually.
Okay.
Or maybe because it has a video associated with it. I don't know. It's a good question. Let's see one that doesn't. Not sure what the asterisk means. It doesn't tell me why.
Devices.
Oh, no, that doesn't say it either. I thought I saw it somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure of that. I'll have to, when I get a chance, I'll ask.
Well, it says right there, items marked with an asterisk are also accessible on your
yeah.
smartphone.
Thank you, Kathleen. I just saw that as soon as you said it. There we go. On your smartphone or mobile device are also accessible. So not all of these are accessible to your mobile device, is basically what it's saying. The ones with the asterisk are. Very good catch, Kathleen. Okay, so the other one I wanted to show you. So there's this help page. Let's see, copy. All right, now I got to get back to the chat. Where'd you go, chat? There you are. Okay, so there we go. All right, so this Google Sites, you guys can click on it, or I'm gonna show it to you right now. Where did that go? Right here. This is a Google site that another Master Gardener agent, he is the, he's my counterpart in Clay County. He made these videos to help his Master Gardeners, but they are general enough that they will work for us too. And what's nice is they're nice short videos. They're not very long. So if you can't remember stuff that I told you today, go ahead, go through the same thing. Sign on, homepage help, how to sign in. He goes over how to sign in. So if you forget, or 2 weeks down the line, you're like, oh, wait a second, I don't remember how to do that. Bookmark this page, and there's a handy dandy video for it, or you could always go to the site guide as well. He also has been adding what I think is really cool are these frequently asked questions, because not all activities are showing up when I enter hours. That's a common question we get. Again, it goes back to that qualifications, and that you may not be assigned to that committee. Let's say if that committee is having a committee meeting, only committee members are invited to that committee meeting, so you may not be able to see it. The other question we get is, how do we find contact information? So I think that's what we really didn't go over, was how to email one another. So we will do that. And then he had something specifically for his Clay County. I actually haven't watched this video, so I would just say for right now, follow our CEU hours submission, because I think each county is doing it differently. All right, let's see. Oh, some people are using the question. Paula, Paula, are you still here? She's still here. She's writing through the Q&A. Did I not give you, let's see if you can talk to me. Paula, I promoted you, so you should be able to talk. Let's see if you can talk now. I don't know.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, so
Yeah.
your questions, so you're not able to log into BI?
No, I can log in. I don't have that record button, the record button the same as Kathleen. I don't have that.
You don't have, oh, it's the hours thing. So that,
The
I mean,
report.
sorry, the
I'm sorry.
report thing.
Yeah, not
So
record,
the
right.
reports, looks like it is probably, have you reported hours?
I haven't reported hours.
Okay, so
so
I
I-
have a feeling it's linked to that, because I noticed as soon as I logged hours, then I got my little this thing here, which I didn't have before. So try logging in hours and then tell me if you can see the reports. If that report tab doesn't come up once you guys log in hours, please let me know. Other interns on this call, I'm looking at David just because I can see you right away. Do you see your reports? You saw the reports, right? Yeah, okay. But so that's good to know that if it appears that if you haven't logged hours, you don't see that tab. Okay, now, if you want to contact, that was the other thing I wanted to go over. So contact. So we came here briefly because David had the good question of like, how do we know what committees we're on? Well, the way that Better Impact uses the communication tools, it uses those committees for master gardeners to be able to communicate with one another. The caveat of that is you cannot email individual master gardeners. You guys can't. We can from the administrative side. But there's no way for you to email an individual master gardener. We have a directory in the files page, which will be updated with the new interns. We're hoping to get that out in February. That you'll be then able to go into files, and you could go into the directory and find somebody's email and then email them from your email. But unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of Better Impact relative to what other master gardeners are used to in the previous system that we had is that you could email individual master gardeners, and you can't do that.
Hey,
So
Cynthia,
Yes.
when I'm on my laptop and when I click on contact, it drops down and it says and send an email, and I'm there as Chair Kim Lepore. You could click the button and it appears that I would be the only one on the to list.
Wait, back up a little bit. So where
Okay,
are
sure.
you
I clicked on the tab contact,
at?
and then the very first thing I see is send an email, and the two line starts advisory board, all MGVs, digital media. And then as you go down the list, there's one person named as the chair, and it looks like that's a single email going to that person.
No, that's the to button.
Yeah.
So it's coming. So I should clarify.
Wouldn't that be from that you're? Well,
No. So you're sending it to the Therapy Gardens Committee. You're sending to everybody that signed up. The reason why we have chair there is so that people know that the chair of that committee is you.
Oh, I see.
Okay. But it's actually sending it to everybody who signed up in that committee. But you know, as the chair, we've tried to provide the chairs with the list of everybody that's in your committee.
Mhm.
But you guys can't see who else is in there unless you were to check the directory and find out. Once we get the updated list, we'll have that in that directory and you guys could see who else is in the committee. But for right now, when you're emailing, all you can do is email that group, but you don't know who is in that group. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. Second
Yeah.
question is though, say if I needed to send a broadcast email to all MGVs, do I need your okay before I do so?
It's a good question. Part of me doesn't want to be, I don't know if I want to micromanage at that level, just because just know that if you send it to all MGVs, you're sending it to me as well, right? So
I'm doing
if you send it to all MGVs, you're also sending it to me.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Okay.
So I'm presuming that if whatever you're putting on here and you're sending to everybody, you're okay with me seeing and everybody seeing.
Okay. It would be for
right now, it hasn't been an issue. I would say that if people start to abuse that, then we might need to put some things in place. But for right now, there's nothing stopping me from you emailing all MGVs.
Okay. It would only be for events or field trips or anything related to Wilmot Botanical Gardens, you know, in general invites to the public type thing.
Right. And I would say then, you know, and I think that's fine because you know, to be honest, I think the more reminders and announcements sometimes that we have, I think the better. And I know that for the chairs, this is the only way sometimes that they might be able to reach out to everybody or share information. The only thing I would double check is that if they do need to sign up on Better Impact, that to make sure that you've communicated with us or done an action list so that we can get that on there so that people aren't reading your email and then being like, I can't sign up because I can't see it type thing.
No, it would probably more times than not be a PDF, and therein it would say either, you know, like for the plant sale, it would be contact Courtney Cribbs at Wilmot. Here's her email, here's her phone number to sign up for volunteer opportunities.
Perfectly fine. That's
Okay,
something that is MGV business and, you know, would be fine on there. I would say start to post like personal stories to everybody. We might have to, you know, put in some protocols for, you know, what do we want to send to everybody? Just remember, this is people's emails. And so I think in this day and age, when we're all bombarded by emails, we want to try and be respectful of that. So I'll address it if it becomes an issue, but if it isn't, I'm going to just say, you know, like I said, I received them. So I see what's I'm on all the committees too. So just know that any emails on here, I do see. There's no like, it would be, you know, basically, you know, this, you would need to know that it's basically public to the office here, if that makes sense. There were some questions in the chat. Let's see. So David said, oh yes, the December 2nd, 2027 member roster file has interns, but that needs to be updated, and that will be updated. We're updating the directory in February. And so that will have all of you now as you'll be moved to interns. We'll have your pictures, and then we'll have an email list in that directory. And that directory will be a digital file. It'll be a PDF, and we'll have it on Better Impact. If you want it printed, we'll have some that are printed up. I know there's some people that still want to have that printed directory. We can only print a limited number, so it will only be will be by request. And then David said, wouldn't that be on the weekly email? Yes, we try and include everything on that weekly update, but sometimes like this week, man, we got a lot of stuff coming in. So sometimes it's hard to keep up with all the different events that are going on. And I encourage you, if there's something you see, please send it to us, because I don't necessarily always see all the listserv emails that I'm on. So if there's events you think that other Master Gardeners would be interested in attending, please let us know. This is from Kathleen, can the trainee bio photo taken be added to my profile tab? Yes, we can add that for you. If you would like, I can do that for you. Again, why don't you try doing a request for that? That way we'll have it in the docket, and either if I can't get to it, then either Jesse or Peggy could get to that, Kathleen. So if you want to go ahead and do a try at the action request form, and just say if you can use the picture that was taken for our class, the class thing. We can certainly use that. Okay, Paula, badges. So Paula's question about badges. I was told I could go to BI and fill out a work order for replacement badge that would go to Peggy. Could you show me where that work order might be? Yes, that's that action request form. So there's two places you can find it. If you go to the home tab and you go to files, there's an action request form link here, or we even have it also in our kind of our news, our IFAS extension Alachua County news. You can click directly on the link. It takes you directly to the form, and then you just fill out the form of what you need and when and why.
Excellent. Thank you.
And then I would say if you're doing, and then we also cover, because I think you came in maybe a little bit after I'd said this. I can't, sorry, Zoom blocks my headers. And so I can't, oh, it's going to take me back here. I can't see it. Hold on. The other one is the purchase request form. If you're going to make a purchase, what I suggest is doing the action request for a purchase. Let's say you need to do a purchase of items, say do the action request, but then for the actual items, click on the purchase request form. It's a PDF, and then you can fill this out and either scan it and email it to me or hand it to me. I prefer email because then it's in my email and I can access it when I'm at the store. Otherwise, I got to remember to take this form with me. And you know how many times I've forgotten the form at the office when I've been running around. So it's really handy to have it on my email. Okay, so any other question? Oh, yep. Okay, let's see. Let me keep scrolling down here. David asked, can family or friends join an event outside? What do you mean? Can you clarify?
Yeah, so I live right next door to Coffin Park where the Survivors of Suicide Garden is. And I'm gonna try to volunteer there every Friday and work there and stuff. I mean, every month. Anyhow, my wife was like, hey, can I and Samantha, our 4-year-old, come by or something like that? And I was like, I don't know about liabilities and things like that. So I was just kind of curious if, you know, they could always come by at the end and say hello, but if we wanted more, that was a question.
So they're well, I mean, that's a public park, so they can be in the park, they can go there. In terms of doing the actual work, if you want your child, you probably know, but your wife, she just needs to fill out a volunteer. We have a volunteer form for spouses or just for that +1, because a lot of times with plant sale, we'll have spouses or partners that come and want to help. And yeah, as you said, for liability purposes, we just need to have them fill out a form. It's like the one-time volunteer thing.
Okay.
And as long as we have that on file, she's welcome to come help you. For children, we don't have it. It's only for 18 and over.
Okay.
That's a good question. All right, let's see. Let me make sure here. Okay, Kathleen. Okay, send it through the request for biophoto to be added to my action request form. So Kathleen's going to use the action request form. That's wonderful. All right. Are there any other questions? This is the time. We got 2 hands up. All right. Well, no, Marianne. So Kim,
Yeah.
do you have another question? Go ahead.
I know, I'm so sorry, but I want to get this
is
straight.
fine. This is what this is for.
Under contact, and I'm going to broadcast to all MGVs. Does that mean it includes the interns, or do I have another box to click?
Oh, that's a good question. But I believe all MGVs is all MGVs. That includes the interns. The
Okay,
one
great.
for the interns is if you just wanted to send it to the interns.
Okay,
And actually, not everybody can do that. I don't think. Only the intern. I think the interns have that capacity. They can send it to one another. I have it. I think the mentoring committee has it.
I believe I see, I can email
Well,
everybody.
you're an intern, so you should be able to.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because what happens is the way that these committees, the way that these email groups are formed is that if you're on that committee, you get to see that button. So we created one so that the mentor, so that Colin, that you're the mentoring chair, could communicate just with the interns. That's why that was created. So if you don't see an all, actually it's still called all trainees because we set this up last fall. So if you do not see an all trainees, then you wouldn't have the capacity to communicate just with the interns. If you want to do that, reach out to Colin because he oversees the mentoring of the interns and has that capacity to email just them.
Well, I don't want to email just them. When I click on all MGVs, I want to be
That's all
confident that they
MGV,
too.
all MGV,
Okay.
everybody. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep,
Very
that's a
good.
good question. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And,
Cynthia,
oh, Amos had a
Cynthia?
question. Oh, yes, yes.
I have a question. You said that not all field trips are counted as CEUs. Under what circumstance would a field trip not be?
The only, so this is what I was saying, if the field trip had a service component to it. So let's say you were doing a field trip and you were also doing a cleanup or a restoration.
Okay,
Then I would count that cleanup and restoration. That's a service to the community. So that would
Right.
be 6 hours. And maybe we don't call it a field trip then. But
yeah, right.
I could see how sometimes maybe there's a tour with a service component or something on it. Let's say we went to Sweetlands Wetlands Park, but then, you know, in addition to the tour, then we also did some cleanup.
Gotcha.
It hasn't happened, but that would be the only way I would foresee that you would count it as separate hours.
Yeah, because I like you say, I've never been on a field trip that had that service component. So
Right.
that's why I was wondering. Okay.
And
that's
maybe
all.
I'm convoluting things. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to
Okay.
imagine all the different scenarios. But
Yeah.
yes, field trips
Okay.
for the most part right now are continuing at hours.
Gotcha.
Okay, we
Okay.
got some hands up. Amos asked a question though about our pictures being taken at the office. Currently, no, we don't have anything. Now, Mario, he took the pictures for the trainees who are now interns, and he's offered up his services. So I would say, I have to see if Mario is coming to the recognition event. I think he is. That if we want to do that, I say let's propose to set up a time that works for Mario for everybody to get their picture taken, because I thought he did a really great job. But that's something I think we should coordinate with Mario in terms of if we want to have pictures taken at the office. I think it's a great idea though. So we all get updated headshots. Okay. So Marianne, did I answered your question, right?
Yes, you did. Thank
Going
you.
through the hands here. Okay. Next we have Karen Simpson.
Hi
What was
there.
Hi.
I just had a quick question. I'm doing an event on Saturday and they've asked that we wear a name badge. And so the name badge I've got is the plastic one that came on the lanyard. Is there a different badge that we'll get eventually?
Eventually. So
Okay.
after you finish your intern year, one of the big celebrations that we have after you finish your year and you become a certified master gardener is you get your badge. And the master gardener is always very proud of their badges.
We get badged. Okay, that's
Yes, and the
great.
badges, they're harder, they're like a credit card, right? They're like a credit card with the Master Gardener logo on it and your name. And I think maybe the year, I have to remember, I haven't looked at a badge in a while.
Okay.
So you will get that. So there's that bonus at the end of the year waiting for you when you get all your hours.
Thank you.
And if you do need a replacement badge, when we do understand that, you know, things happen, you put it in that safe place and then you can't remember that safe place. So if you do need a replacement badge, just let us know and we can get a new one for you.
I'll be a lot more careful with the one I've got.
Right. It's kind of like your glasses. Yeah, got to have that place for it. Okay, so Kathleen, you were next on my hands raised.
Yeah, I have a question on the contacts and the two contacts. You mentioned any of the committees that we've signed up for, they should appear in the two box. I signed up for community gardens, but I don't see that on there. The other two I signed up for are on there. So do I need to send a request asking if I need to have that added?
Yes, if you don't see it on there, it might have gotten missed. So what happened was we were getting inundated with emails, and that was kind of my fault for not anticipating that that would get a little crazy. So what did I do? I created a Google form for that. And hold on, I'm going to stop share so I can find my Google form and share that link with you folks. That was another thing on my list to do today. I believe Jesse also sent it out in the weekly update, but I'm going to put it, where did my chat go? Chat. There we go. All right, I just, so here, I'm going to share screen again. Okay, so that link that I just posted in the chat, chat window again. Okay, it takes you to here. So from here on out, if you need to make adjustments to your committees, if you want to add a committee or you want to remove yourself from one, now that might be a little bit more challenging because I didn't really put, I would say if you want to remove yourself from one, oh, maybe I need to adjust the form. See, I don't think of these things until I actually am like working it through my head. I will add something on here if you want to remove. Let me add that. So for right now, if you want to be added, you just click the box of the activity that you want to be added on, and we have your name, and then that way that goes into a spreadsheet. That way we can track it a little bit better because we were getting inundated with emails, and Peggy was doing her best to keep up with it, but she might have missed a few. So if there's a committee that you wanted to be on that you're not, just go ahead and fill out this form and then add that committee that you're on. The advisory board committee is by, you can't request that right now. That's something that for right now, we're basically committee chairs are part of the advisory board, and then by request if we're adding somebody on. Other than that, they should all be on here. Mentor committee, interns won't be able to serve on the mentor committee until you have finished your year and you've become a certified master gardener, and then you would need to talk to the committee chair about being a mentor, just because we want folks that have experience in the program. But other than that, I can't think of any other committee that that the interns wouldn't be able to serve on.
Yeah, I wanted to be included in the community gardens edible. I
Yeah.
just don't see that on my two in the contacts. That's the only one I don't see that I wanted
Right.
to be on.
Well,
So
and
I would just add that.
yeah, so go ahead and add that, and then it's really easy. All we do is we go into your profile and we add you to that committee, and then you should see that.
Okay.
And that could have been too, because the community gardens edible, that's a new one. And David Vena just actually stepped up to co-chair that with Jesse. So we finally kind of have someone to help lead with that.
Okay.
So Great. The more people we have on that committee, the better, because I do get requests from community gardens throughout
Okay.
the county. Let's see. All
And
right.
then the badges that we received as trainees, we continue to wear that throughout the year, correct?
Yeah, the ones that you have now, that's what you'll have throughout the year. And then once you've completed all your hours, then next year at the recognition event for 2023, you will get your badge then. And that date is still to be determined, because I don't know, we're having it in January this year, but we actually might move it back to December so that everything's within the same year that you're doing something in.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Marianne and then Kim.
I thought I lowered my hand.
That's okay.
I tried.
For some reason it stays up there. Okay, Kim, did you also have a question?
Yeah, I did. And this is outside the scope of this, but I just went to my home tab and looked at upcoming shifts. Because we're having that advisory board meeting on the 9th of February, it isn't listed. So, because normally it's, every other month.
Oh, I see. So we need to have it added.
Yeah, you might want to have it added.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good catch.
But thank you so much. I feel liberated. I swear to you, this has been the bane of my existence, and this has really cleared things up for me. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So what was I going to say? Does anybody else have any final questions? And actually, along Kim's line, does everybody feel like they can log in hours? That's the most important part. I'm going to stop sharing here. And the reason for this webinar is I want to make sure that you can get off of this webinar and you can go, if you wanted to log in hours right now, that you could. So I'm saying all is good from Karen. If there's any other questions, this is the time. Yeah, you can always reach out to us too, because I know sometimes when you're doing this, it's just easier to, you don't know until you know, right? Until you're trying to do it, and then you can't do it, and then you're frustrated. So great. So again, if you are having trouble though, remember you have that site guide that you can reference. Also those videos on that Google site, you can also check out. And then if you still can't figure out how to do it from there, then go ahead and give us a call or send us an email so that we can help you that way. And if there is an activity like Kim brought up, if you see something that's not on there that needs to be added, please let us know. And thank you folks for volunteering. And I look forward to seeing all your names pop up on Better Impact and seeing all that engagement. And we have a lot of things going on. So hopefully I'll see you at some of the upcoming events. I think we got 2 Arbor Day events. We've got a monthly meeting. We've got an Invader Rally in February. We've got a bunch of committee meetings. So things are happening and I'm really excited. And anyway, so good luck with Better Impact. And again, if you have any questions, just reach out to us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
Have a great
Bye.
afternoon. Bye.